Hey guys, I'm the last Bob. I'm a comic writer. This is Christian the Show Towers. He's a comic artist. And this is Show and Tell Comic Review. We buy boxes of random comics from comic book stores all over the US and review what they send us. You know how social media works. Look what we got.
All right, guys, so today's comic is called C.H.E.S.S. C.H.E.S.S, as you may recall from our last episode, stands for Command Headquarters of Espionage and Strategic Strikes. It was published by Paige Comics, and it was created by Alfred Paige, scripted by Alex DeGrucci, penciled by J.C. Fabul, and colored by Jorge Cortez and Brian McNane. The lettering was done by Troy Petery, and the design was done by Seda Temafont. The comic follows a covert privatized team of heroes that serve as an intel gathering and response force. The story follows this covert team as they investigate an up-and-coming arms dealer named Takashi Nakadai, who has been selling top-of-the-line equipment with a built-in failsafe switch that shuts down all equipment at any given time. When Nakadai uses his failsafe to take out an entire strike team in Iraq and their leader, C.H.E.S.S is sent to investigate. When they arrive to Japan, they come to realize that Takashi Nakadai is a much more powerful man than they accounted for. Now that we know what the comic book is about, Bob, what do you got for us, man?
I like the art. Yeah, no, really, the story, I mean, I could see where they were going with the story, but for me, it took a long time to get there. You know, it wasn't bad. It just kind of drug out for me. And the dialogue wasn't really as flowing and captivating as, I gotta tell you, Blowtorch really did a number on me because I really like that. And now I'm going to start comparing because it's in our number one spot now. We're going to have to compare it to everything else because if we don't, then nothing will ever knock it from it first. You know what I mean? So, and this is in the same universe. It's even got Blowtorch in it. You know, I guess you can't have it all. I mean, like it's Blowtorch had it all for me. You know what I'm saying? I guess you can't have it everywhere, but I mean, even the art wasn't as good. I don't think it's flowed as well as Blowtorch was flowed amazingly in the panels and stuff. I mean, there were places that were good. I sound like I'm killing it, but I'm not. It's kind of all right, man. It was okay. You know what I mean?
It was a bit of all right.
I just did to say that what they did in that comic. You know, I went all the way around just to say that. So that's kind of give you a feel of what I went through with the comic. There was a few things I missed in there too. But what do you think, man?
I mean, honestly, man, I agree with you. The thing is, I didn't hate the comic. You know, like it wasn't absolutely terrible, but you know, considering that we got introduced into this universe through Blowtorch, only to then, you know, come to this one, it was pretty disappointing. The art is good. I like the art. The issue is that I don't think that it fits the story as well as the art from Blowtorch did.
Yeah, that's
and that's probably for many reasons. I know one thing I wanted to point out was the fact that, you know, the artist that they got for this comic clearly didn't have as much of a visual storytelling technique as the guy who did Blowtorch, which to me was one of the things that killed it for me, you know, because like his visual storytelling was a little choppy and at times also it was a little hard to follow. I was able to figure most of it out, but again, I shouldn't have to figure anything out, you know, like everything should flow smoothly. So yeah, that was my take on it. I definitely did feel like I was reading something straight out of like an Avengers comic or like a Suicide Squad comic, you know, like it definitely had that superhero feel, you know, like about this task team, and it's funny that like the name chess, like I was joking around with you earlier about how wow they really wanted their acronym to spell chess the same way that Shield somebody really wanted the acronym
Yeah,
in Marvel to be Shield, so it reminded me of Shield and the Avengers and Suicide Squad and just the same superhero feel. um Again, like another part where the art just didn't quite do it for me is and this could be just because I'm a caricature artist, but some of these
He's
characters
more
they
than
were
that, guys. Don't listen to. He's far more than just a character artist.
no, but what I'm about to say is definitely coming
Okay,
from
I'm
the
saying
point
don't
of view
say
of a caricature artist.
he's
But
got much.
like you got this guy, the arms dealer named Takanai, or Nakadai, sorry, don't mean to butcher the names here. But this guy is supposed to be a Japanese man, but when you look at him, I mean, I don't know. When I first saw him, I did not get that he was Japanese at all. I thought he was just another white dude.
Yeah.
So like again, that's where the art kind of failed for me. Like they all kind of seem to be the same race. Then like again with the visual storytelling, like I noticed that like when they were introducing the characters, there were actually some parts where I got a little confused. Like when they introduced Deborah Stewart, aka Hart, they did it in the panel where they're clearly showing Pinpoint. So when I first read it, I thought his name was Deborah Stewart, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that did my first thought too. No. Hey, everybody, this is Lily. I know.
Oh, look at her.
I love you too. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, get down. Go down. There you go. Yeah, I had that same thing in that same exact part, and oh man, there was another one where I wasn't sure where I was reading. Like right here, it took me a second to realize that. Oh shit! What is this guy's name? He just says. Sir, so I'm not sure who this guy is in the army thing. They're all going to die anyway, so it doesn't matter. But his bust of his head, is like making the panel. So the back side of his head is the panel, and it took me a minute. I'm like, so should I read there? Like what? And I had to read the whole thing before I figured it out. And I don't know if that was just me and my.
No, I definitely feel what you're saying, because I didn't have a problem with it, and that was only because they did still technically follow one of the rules of comic booking, which is that the speaker on the left always speaks first. And they did follow that rule in that panel, but still the way they laid out all the speech bubbles probably wasn't the best. And again, the way that the artist split the panel, maybe a firmer split would have been better than just using his bust, because he did that a few times actually. Where he used the guy's silhouette.
Like a slightly thicker line on the back side to kind of give it a and
something, yeah. The part where Mr. Garland is taken out, I felt like that was a little. It's almost like it was forced in there. Like they could have done without, showing Nakadai, the guy's daughter, the arms dealer's daughter, because she's the one that takes him out. Obviously, but that whole part was actually very confusing for me, because they're showing Mr. Garland and Mr. Nakadai talking, and then out of nowhere you just have these characters, which I mean they look cool. Don't get me wrong. Like if you show that shot, it's a really cool shot, very well rendered. Artistically speaking, it was great, but story-wise, I was like, okay, now who are these guys? And then they just kind of brushed over that and moved on with the story, and I didn't find out until the end of the comic who these people were.
Right, like I didn't know, like I didn't pick up. I saw the hand, and I'm like, okay, so maybe he's ending the call because his daughter is walking into the room, right? Which is really what, I'm thinking it's Garland's daughter. He's getting the call because daughter. You know what I'm saying? But you can see the design, like they want you to see the glove, but when they show them, the gloves aren't as prominent as they should be to get your attention. I see they got the things around her wrist there, the scarves or whatever, but it's not enough to draw your eye. So I know that's who did that. I didn't realize that until, like you said, until towards the end of the book. I was like, oh, so remember I said, I'm scrolling back through here because I'm missing something, and I was like,
something, yeah.
I said, oh, well, there it is. That's what I missed.
To be honest,
so I saw that.
for me, since this strike team that they showed at the beginning where everybody got killed, they were in Iraq. So
Yeah.
when I saw that hand that had these designs, I thought it was a Mindy design, which is something that they do in the Middle East, with like henna tattoos and stuff like that. So that I thought
Oh
it was
yeah,
somebody from that side of the world that had taken this guy out that maybe Mr. Nakadai had contracted. I never would have guessed that it was somebody, like that was related to him. So again, that whole part was just a little, I wouldn't say misleading, but it was hard to deduct or get as much out of it as maybe the writer thought we would.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I would blame the artist on that. I blame the writer for so much dialogue. It's not like bad dialogue. You know what I mean? Like
it really wasn't. I mean,
yeah, it wasn't bad. It just for me, it just took a long time to get where they were going. You know, it really was.
It was
like
a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, it was like a Avengers, because that's what they wanted. They want to spread it out for more issues, and I get that, but you still got to give us a little more. Still, like we're reading C.H.E.S.S now, and I'm still not sure about the world, because I'm thinking that Heart has some kind of freezing power, but it's that dart, the freeze dart.
Yeah, it's these darts that they throw. Yeah. Which is another part that kind of like confused me, like when they introduced them into that fight scene. That all of a sudden they just show this guy with a dart and his face frozen, but the way they did it was hard for me to deduct from the from the onset that it was her that threw the dart, because I was almost wondering, I was like, oh, is that Pinpoint's power? Because Pinpoint and Blowtorch were the ones that attacked first. So you see Blowtorch do his thing, but then all of a sudden they show this guy's face freeze. So I figured that was Pinpoint's power.
Yeah, I think it was. The position of her hand. Oh, I see there. She's throwing more than one.
Yeah, and then she's throwing darts. Yeah, so I got that after the fact.
Right. Yeah. But it took
and then again,
for allotted seconds to, what I'm saying, because you should be able to take in the whole thing and see not all the art, but see what's happening in about a 4-second period. Just boom, 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 boom. You should be able to see everything and then move on to the next panel. So
right.
Yeah, I did have to take a few more seconds, and most of these panels I did. I had to look at them for a while and go back over the dialogue and stuff a couple of times to make sure I was catching everything. Again, guys, I'm cognitively stupid, so that's why it's nice to have a Christian by your side all the time.
No, but I mean, I had the same problem. So I mean, maybe I'm cognitively stupid too, but I had the same problem. And again, I feel I don't really blame the writer so much as I blame the artist for it, because again, his visual storytelling was nowhere near as smooth as the guy that did Blowtorch.
Yeah.
It was very choppy, and there were a lot of parts where I had to really look at the panel to figure out what the hell's going on. Again, another thing like that just gave me this like Avengers vibes, straight out of a Marvel or DC comic. It's all the talking that they're doing while they're fighting. They had all this dialogue going on while she's literally over here like jumping on a guy, driving a sword through his chest, and just having this casual conversation with the guy.
Of watching a episode of Justice League, if you ever watched that.
Yeah.
The whole there's thousands of monsters tearing apart the city, and they're just having this conversation about the rent or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and personally, the way they ended this first issue wasn't, I'm a sucker for cliffhangers, especially when I write my stories. I love using cliffhangers as a way of like leaving the reader wanting more. But the way that they ended this one, it personally didn't leave me going, oh man, I have to turn the page and see what happens next. Like if they would have actually ended it when this guy's telling, was it Hart that he was talking to there? Where he was telling her like, oh yeah, this guy knows everything about us. He knows that we're onto him. If they would have ended it there, right there, I would have been like, oh shit, yeah. So this guy is like a force to be reckoned with, and immediately I would want to go to the second volume.
Yeah, but they had to introduce Heckle and Jekyll here, and
right.
I don't know who any of these people are. I know that this girl, she's supposed to be powerful. Like, I would have liked to have seen how she killed Garland to get an idea of what her powers are, because she kind of looks like the Tinkerer's daughter here.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
Um,
like I would not have been upset if they would have waited to the second issue to introduce these characters.
yeah,
Like, I feel that they would have had a lot more room to work with, to where they could have introduced them in a much cooler way. Like you said, maybe showing the way she took out Garland,
right.
and then we, the readers, would have pieced it together. I think that would have been great.
Then they
But
because there's a lot of time jumps in here, like hours later, 2 days later.
yeah, that was another thing that kind of bugged me. Yeah.
So I really don't know what month it is. Like if it's January 4th, and then by the time I was into the story, I'd have no idea what day it is. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know if it's been 2 weeks. It was just too much, like too much to keep up with.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't mind it. Like at the beginning of the story, I get it, like the situation happened and then a time lapse. But the fact that, they're just kept there. I mean, there must have been at least 5 of those, right?
I would say at least 4 or 5 of them. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but look, most of us are a bunch of potheads and stuff. So y'all guys got to keep that stuff down a little bit, man. Lexic potheads, we can't keep up. I'm just playing, man. Y'all write your comics how you want, and we'll review them how we want. I did like the concept, though. Like, I still like the characters. I'm looking. I want to see what's up. Is Avery just the head honcho, like Charlie and the Charlie's Angels? You know what I mean? Or is he does he do something too? I'm looking to see what's going on with Avery, because I was wondering Avery in the first or in Blowtorch, because we don't get to see him, or he's mentioned him twice. I'm like, okay, who's Avery? So we get introduced.
Right.
But that's all it is just he's the leader, or she's the team leader, and I guess he's her team leader. I'm a little confused on that too.
I am too. I mean, like, it was a lot of information. But that's the thing about these characters, is that to be honest, I would be more excited to see each of these characters in their own standalone comic, like we saw with Blowtorch.
Blowtorch. Well, we're doing.
Then I would to see more of C.H.E.S.S.
We're doing Pinpoint next. So,
right, so it's like I'm excited to see like Pinpoint's, a standalone comic. That would be awesome, because these are very interesting characters. Like I said, they're not super powered, but they can kick some ass, which is always cool.
And I like how Richard, I mean that's his name, but Blowtorch is this ground level dude. You know what I mean? Like I was telling you, Albert was telling me he was going for this Roadhouse feel, and we're like, he nailed it. It was.
You did.
You went for it, you got it, man. It was on. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if they were going for a Marvel hero team feel for this, but that's what like you said, that's what I feel like I'm reading. Even though I like the characters in it, I think that and the concept of it is cool. It just like I said, it was kind of slow for me, is all. And that's what I feel about Superman and Batman these days, and Spider-Man. They're just so slow moving, and they give you so little. I mean, I guess that's why you feel everything about the book, because Spider-Man and all that shit. So when you pick up a Spider-Man book, flip through a few pages, you already know what's going to happen. I mean, there's no really big secret. Well, we have issue 2, so we'll read it and let you guys know. I'm gonna give. Well, it's not Albert or Albert. I keep saying Albert. I don't even know an Albert. Alfred. Alfred Paige is the creator, so none of this stuff is on him. And again, it's not like bad stories or anything. It's just a little slow for me. And again, the storytelling with the art was off.
But I mean, I'm glad you brought up that one point, though, of like, if they were going for that Marvel feel, in that case, then they did an excellent job.
They nailed it. Yeah,
they nailed it. Yeah. Like how he said with Blowtorch, he was going for that Roadhouse feel. He nailed it. So if they were going for Marvel or DC feel with this, absolutely, they nailed it. They did a phenomenal job. But, so I guess since I was expecting something like Blowtorch, then, it kind of, I found myself a little disappointed.
Well, to be honest, let's say about 2 years ago, he would have had me with this one, because I was it was Marvel, it would have been the typical, okay, yeah, I get it, blah, blah. All right, this is a pretty good comic. But after reading indie comics for so long and seeing how differently stories can be laid out, it doesn't have to be the typical Marvel, DC layout, like they do. Which they're doing the same thing with the movies, guys. Those big budget freaking the end game scene with everybody in it. That shit was being worked on months before, while they were still writing the thing. These big scenes are already planned, like this is going to be in it, and you have to write the story around these scenes. And that's why a lot of these movies come out sucking. And it's the same thing with comic books. Now, I don't know how Alfred and them are their process. We'll find out tomorrow. Again, we're interviewing Alfred tomorrow. We can't wait. It's going to be exciting. I don't know how he's going to feel about this review, but we definitely gave Blowtorch a glowing review, man. And that was a honest review, man. We really did love it. Not to say we hate this one, but
yeah, I don't hate
shit, what was I getting at?
But we're going to interview him tomorrow and pick his brain a little bit. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing, even if we are comparing it to Marvel, DC, and things like that, one thing that I always say about, like Marvel movies and even DC movies is that if you don't watch it, like if you just close your eyes and listen to the movies, you realize that the dialogue is utter shit. Like, it's utter shit. It's the cheesiest, like worst dialogue ever. So in this case, like they have the one up on Marvel and DC. They still have good dialogue. It's still very informative and it's still very natural. These guys are not, using lame catchphrases or things like that.
Well, yeah, it's not as engaging as the dialogue in Blowtorch. I mean, all the way through Blowtorch, man, the dialogue was just, I mean, you wanted to go to the next panel. It wasn't like, oh, there's another panel.
Right.
That bad. I'm not saying this one was that bad. I'm just in comparison.
I didn't feel that way. Like, to me, it was a lot of reading. Like, I will say that the dialogue was very condensed. That's my only complaint about it. But outside of that, I didn't feel like any of it was unnecessary. I liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't saying that about chess.
Yeah, and another credit I'll give them is that maybe except for that page where they're showing Nakadai's daughter with the other two goons, I'll call them for now, is that like there weren't any pages with like poses, like Marvel and DC are always like showing these superheroes posing for no reason, these guys, they were a strike team and they're all very cool characters, but there aren't any like lame poses.
Superhero landing.
Superhero landing. She gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it. Woo! Superhero landing.
I did also appreciate the little details, like little subtleties, because I like putting stuff like that in the comics that I work in. Like for example, when they're flying in the plane, did you notice the name on the plane?
Yeah.
It's page one. Like, little details like that I think are pretty cool,
Alfred. So, I mean, listen to me, I'm going to tell Alfred how to do his thing, but I would stick with these guys, man. The ones that did Bad Roads.
Yeah, they delivered that comic very well.
Yeah, man. You guys made it a fantastic comic. DeGrucci, Curlin, and Timofont, which is it? And Paige, you guys made a great team, man. You should stick with those guys, Alfred. The hell you know?
I mean, I'll stay.
You don't know shit.
I'll say this though, I liked the art, like the art aesthetically. I liked it. It was good. It had a classic comic book feel to it, and I liked it. Like I said, what I didn't like as much as I did with Blowtorch was the visual storytelling. The flows created on the page, they were choppy. Like with Blowtorch, Igor had a phenomenal view on how to create a flow and a movement on the page. Here, I felt it was a little choppy. I wasn't as thrilled about it, but the art itself, I did like. It was good.
Yeah, Curlin has some new fans. I think that's what it is, Curlin. I'm going to check that out. Has new fans.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm on the wrong book. I'm back over here at Blowtorch. I'm supposed to be on. Be on tour. But yeah, man. I mean, I like the team, man. I think that the concept is good.
There were some parts where it was flowing very smoothly, but then there were parts where I kind of had to stop, and it took me out of the book because I had to figure out, how the flow worked.
Like there's this part where he's chasing what's that dude's name again? Inidiga? I can't.
Oh no, I think the guy Demoto is the guy that he's chasing.
Oh, Demoto, that's right. He's chasing Demoto. I thought that was a pretty good, a well-flowed scene there.
Yeah.
There was some of it that I liked it. I always thought it was pretty cool, but then, a lot of it was just it was okay. It was all right,
Yeah.
It's not a bad comic. You know what I mean?
It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's just when you compare it to Blowtorch, it doesn't quite deliver the way Blowtorch did. Yeah, man, Alfred, man, you ruined us, man. You ruined us with Blowtorch, man.
This is all your fault, man. He's gonna be like, these fucking guys, man. Well, he won't see this one until after the interview, so we should be all right.
No, that's fine. I'm just letting him know, after Blowtorch, man, he set the bar up here. Now all his other work has to meet that,
Yeah. Even if you see this and you get mad at us, man, we love you. Your shit's going up on the #1 as soon as I get down to Florida. And keep making comics or Blowtorch, and go back to making comics with those other dudes, man. You guys were killing it, bro.
Yeah.
But this was before.
I mean, all things aside, even with all the complaints I have about this comic, I would still read the next issue and probably continue reading after that. And I'm still a fan. I'm still a fan of Alfred Paige and the world that he's creating. I think he's doing a great job. Like I said, it's very clear that he's been doing this a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could learn a thing or two from him.
I would definitely get the next one. But so now I feel bad because we're comparing it so much to Blowtorch, man. It makes it seem like it's bad, and it's really not that bad, man.
No, it isn't. No, just
overall.
Just because we're comparing it to Blowtorch, I was a little disappointed, but really more so on the art side, not so much on the story side, not so much on the dialogue. I think they kept their integrity. In my book, they kept their integrity. The artist that they chose, I don't know, that the artist didn't quite deliver it for me the way Igor Kirillin did. So that was my only stipulation. But other than that, I would still continue reading. I would still get the second issue, and I'm still a fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, removing Blowtorch from the equation, I think the book was still enjoyable. It was again, it dragged out a little bit for me, but I would get the next issue to see, because again, I like the team. I think it's a good concept with the team and where they're headed, but hopefully the next issue picks up a little. And I'm a dialogue guy too, so it could be the worst visual movie or show or whatever, and if it's got really good dialogue, I'll enjoy it all. It could be like fucking stick figures. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a comic, if it's got good dialogue and a good story, man, I'll be enthralled through the whole thing. So I don't need the art or all that stuff or the action to enjoy it.
And that's the thing about the art of a comic, is that it's not really so much about how detailed is it or even anatomically correct. Like, you could have Picasso style paintings, as long as the style of the art fits the narrative, fits the story and the world that they're building. Have at it. Stick figures could very well be acceptable in a story, with a story that is acceptable for stick figures.
Right, yeah.
Because it really is a stylistic choice at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure that if we saw some of J.C. Febble's other stuff, I'm sure it would be phenomenal, but it's just that the style that he chose for this particular comic, I just didn't feel that it really fit as well. And the method of the visual storytelling. I would hope that his visual storytelling is better in other stuff than it is here.
He's working on a lot of stuff, man. He was sending me some photos and stuff about some other projects, and he's got Pinpoint and Blowtorch are doing a book together, and I was like, well, don't ruin it for me, because he's like telling me, I wouldn't be surprised. He goes,
that could be pretty badass.
He told me that Blowtorch isn't gonna go the way you and I are talking about on the review show. He said it's not gonna go the way we think it's gonna go. So I'm looking forward to see where it's gonna go.
Oh, wow.
I made sure to tell him not to ruin it for us. We want to be surprised.
Yeah. I don't want any spoilers. I wanna read it.
So yeah, like I said, I mean, Blowtorch aside, I think most comic book readers are going to enjoy this comic, and they're going to want to buy another one. You know, I'm sure he already knows. I don't know how it's selling. Like I said, we were just introduced to this. Yeah, we just read it right before the show. That's how we do the show, guys. I don't know if I've said this yet, but we try to do it like you'd walk into a comic book store, and the cover is what draws you in. So you pick up that comic of the cover that drew you in, you flip through looking at the art, and you go, okay, this is the one, right? And that's how we pick the comic. But we don't read it until right before the show. So it's a nice, fresh take on what we've just read. And that's how we're doing it. So that's how we did this, and we just read this one. We do have issue 2, so we are going to read it, and we'll let you guys know how that went. And let's see, what else we got? We got Pinpoint coming up in the next show. That's Pinpoint has his own comic, so I'm looking forward to reading that. We got the interview coming up. Yeah, I mean that's what I got, man. Again, Blowtorch aside, this was a decent comic. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. So that's all we got for you guys. I'm the Tell, he's the show. We'll see you next week.